Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. We're gonna go over our Project STi. So January last year we posted 2 videos saying we had 2 new rally car builds. My new car and this one for a customer. Throughout the year, kind of got away from us with rallying. We had a lot of issues with my current car and we chose to focus on that. The customer, who's also my co-driver, was understanding, and then we put my rally car to the side. So we're way behind schedule from that initial goal, but we have been making a lot of progress on this car. So let's take you around a little bit and show you what we've done. We're not gonna go through time lapses of all this fabrication stuff. We'll go through that on my car because it took a lot of figuring out on this one, which would have been boring for you guys to watch. So on my car, we'll be able to just knock it out. So we'll go through some more intricates later. So first things first, rally cars always look good with wheels. We always run the Speedline wheels from Italy. Both the new cars are on pin stands, as you can see, which allows us more room under the car to work. And the car is pretty high up. So both pin stand designs are a little bit different, but they all have lug nut holders, and this will be our path going forward, which also means we'll have a special jack to lift the car up from pins on the outside. In the back, this car unfortunately had some water damage that we didn't know about when we bought it. So in the front corners up here, the rockers had trapped water in there behind the factory skid plate, so this was all rusted out. So that's been cut out, welded, nutserts, and then all the plastic holes we drilled out and welded nutserts all in the wheel well, so we can use factory aligners but with bolts for more stability. So that's been done on both sides. And then all of the holes that pass through the vehicle have been patched now, and everything is going to be bulkheaded. So in the car there's patches everywhere where old equipment used to pass through. A couple of them are still open because we need them for the gas tank that we'll be putting back in next. But basically all the holes that pass through the car have been patched, which takes a lot of work. Dry ice has been removed except for the tunnel because that's a little bit more difficult to do. And then seat bars were installed, seats are in, harness bars have been welded in, make sure they meet all the FIA stuff. We're retaining the factory dash, but we're using a smaller heater core. So the dash fits in. It just needed some cutting on the sides, which we'll touch up later. We're running a full Haltech suite, so we have the digital dash, we have the CAN keypad, and then we have a PDM that will sit up under there that we're making a mount for, so it's not there, and then the ECU is up under there. Our emergency kill switch will be here. Some auxiliary 12 volts and USB chargers to charge like the Monet and our cell phones that we need on transit here. And then where the factory radio is, we're actually going to put the fuse box that would normally go in the engine bay, we're going to put it in here with a false panel so that you can change it easy. We don't want anything susceptible to water inside the engine bay. So the wiring harness is all custom made here for the body with the PDM. So we'll have no relays or fuses in the car, and we'll only have that few to power the fans and everything for the engine side. And then we're using some aircraft waterproof bulkheads to pass the wires back and forth, and we have a custom engine harness and everything. But we don't want anything susceptible to damage or water in the engine bay, so all the wiring goes to the firewall and nothing goes in the fenders, which is a Subaru problem that are on most vehicles. And we'll have very minimal wiring. So we're running a small heater box under here, just enough to defrost the windshield. We don't normally run the factory system because they can't get out once you have a dash bar put in. And then here we have the high-end Racetech 119 seats that have vent ports that we'll install later to pull fresh air from the windows. For right now, we're just gonna mount it to the chassis and we'll hook that up at a later time. But yeah, this car is coming along. It doesn't look like it's that close to driving right now, but we've done a lot of fab work over the last few months, custom engine harnesses, figuring all this stuff out. So next step is gonna be put the engine in, which we're gonna show you in a few minutes. Button up the underbody protection with the UHMW sheet that's sitting behind me. We gotta put the fuel tank back in, run brake lines and fuel lines, and then hopefully start this thing up. Then we're gonna do some testing on it, and then we'll take it all back apart for paint. So, a couple things different we've done on this car is the bottom is now a flat bottom with UHMW. So I'll have Tim help me lift off this hood, and then we'll show you guys what it looks like from inside, and then Remy can peek in the sides there too. But basically, once the skid plate's in, it's a 3-piece design where you can take a fender, a bumper, or the liner off itself without having to take all the pieces out at once. And there's no way for mud to get in from the front. So if you look in there, this is mocked up right now, but basically we blocked off where the air box would go and the factory windshield wiper tank. And then we have the skid plate. These are overlapping and will be bolted in like a bat wing. And then these get metal zip tied right here. And then it's all sealed in the wheel wells, and then there's just enough evacuation for heat going out the back. But as you do water crossings and stuff comes in from the front, it's all completely sealed up under there. So this is significant improvement from what's on my current car, and this will be the design we use going forward. And then as you can see, we patched off the firewall, we deleted the brake booster because we're going manual brakes, and then these two new holes we drilled are where the aircraft connectors go for the engine harness and body harness. So that one will almost never come out. This one will come out when you pull the engine. And then these are for bulkheads for the heater core. And those are the only holes that will pass through. All the brake lines and everything will be bulkheaded as well. All right, so we're here in the other garage. That's a little warmer. We're actually in the middle of a snowstorm in Knoxville, which is pretty rare, so we're working in the house garage for now. But this is what we would call our introductory level engine that we would put in road cars, and this is kind of like the go-to for a rally car. So we start off with a Brown's Performance BP 700 block, which is forged pistons, rods, race bearings. It's still open deck. But they're rated for 700 crank horsepower, which this car will never see close to that because we have to run turbo restrictors. But I love this block. This is what we've been running in the rally car, and we've never had an issue. Yes, we blew up a motor earlier in the year, but I'm going to show you why in a minute because we fixed that going forward as a lesson learned. But it had nothing to do with the block. Then we move on to a set of B25 heads that we send to Head Games Motorworks. They get high temp valves in them, bronze valve guides. We run a stout spring and retainer kit if we run cams. This is running stock 2-liter cams because we're not running AVCS on this engine, even though it's a 2.5 liter. But on my car, I run cams on it, so you definitely want to upgrade the springs. But being that we're going to see a lot of RPMs, we always put the stiffer springs in. And then after that, we run a factory timing set. We just Loctite all the bolts. This has all new components, all new bolts, inner timing cover, outer timing cover. Everything is pretty much new, except for the valve covers. We run an IAG, just a basic header set. I have the Killer B set on my car, but for clearance issues with the front and the radiator, this one has a little bit better clearance. Factory oil cooler, we always run Wix XP filters. And then behind here is the reason that we blew up our motor earlier in the year and a lessons learned. So non-AVCS Subarus have plastic cam gears, which is normally not an issue, but if you've been using ones that are 20 years old now because the 2-liter stopped in 2005, then they'll explode on you, and that's what happened to us, and then it eats valves, and then it ruins your motor. So Roger Clark Motorsports makes a solid billet set of cam gears, all four. This one is always metal anyways because it's got the cam trigger on it, but these three are normally plastic. You can see RCM here. They're beautiful pieces, so we install these, and you're never going to be exploding one of those. So this is a big lessons learned from us, to not use plastic cam gears on motorsport applications anymore. We will be using these, even though I've been racing for 6 years and I've never had an issue until this year. Just going forward, this is a very easy solution. They're a couple $100. It's not worth many thousands of dollars exploding a built 2.5 liter. So this is the engine for our customer car, and my other new engines and my replaced backup engine will also be having these billet gears. After that, we are going to run a VF48 turbo with the restrictor. We'll run a Killer B AOS and a factory drive-by-wire intake manifold. We don't want to run a cable because we want to use the E-throttle for anti-lag with the Haltech system. It's a little bit easier than the cable throttle kick that I have on my current rally car. It makes it a little more drivable at low speeds than my current one that bucks all the time. So we'll be doing that. But this is basically an entry-level engine that will be very reliable for rally. This is how you keep a turbo Subaru running in rally, is you don't ever run stock 2.5 liter engines. They must be built or run a 2 liter. So yep, this is our recipe. So the next clip you see of this will be all put together in the car. All right guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. So we hope you enjoyed seeing some updates on the new rally car build. That's gonna be a really beautiful hatch that you should see at Over Mountain Rally in September this year will be its debut. So it's January. This thing will be on stage in September, fully done, wrapped, built, tested, everything. So look for that there. We're gonna be running 2 cars. We're gonna have my car, not my new one, the current one, and the customer car at Over Mountain Rally in September. So hope to see you guys this season. We're gonna change things up a little bit this year. We'll have more on that later. There's gonna be more Corvette racing, more local racing, supporting Tennessee and Kentucky efforts to bring motorsports out here. And we're gonna focus on that car and get my new one done.